Welcome back, everybody, to more from the SAbleyes. Here today with Blake. How are we doing, Blake?
I'm doing well, thanks, Mitch.
That is good. And we're here to have a look at another cool deck that came out of World Championships, and this is the Fossils deck, which is it's interesting because the first time I looked at it, I had absolutely no idea how this thing worked, but when you break it down, it's actually pretty powerful, especially in a meta where you're expecting to see lots of tag teams like Reshiram and Pikarom.
Yeah, I think probably its worst matchup just based on the fact that it doesn't have the color coverage to beat it at the moment would probably be Mew Mew Welder, on my first assumption. But against every other tag team, it's very strong. Caracosta, non-GX, one-shots a Reshizard, just straight off the bat, and that's inherently super powerful as it is. You trade up a lot. And Aerodactyl GX super strong against Pikarom, taking one shots on that as on attack as well.
Yeah, it can also really make the most out of the fact of that it's got that ability that means that your opponents need to put more energy on. We'll have a look at the Pokemon line to start off with. We've got 3 copies of Stellar Wish Jurraci, and interestingly enough, this is the only basic that the deck runs. So you're always starting Jurraci, so you're never gonna have a bad start with this list. It seems pretty good.
Yeah, inherently super strong, just bit like a deck that's guaranteed to start Jirachi. There's no other deck that can, other than maybe another fossil deck, that can actually say this. But yeah, super strong being able to always have Jirachi as your opening Pokemon.
Yeah, and the reason that Jirachi is always going to be your opener is because your only other basic, in quotation marks, is unidentified fossil, which cannot be placed in the active. So even though you do technically have another basic, in quotation marks, Pokemon, you can't start it. So that's the key. We've got 3 copies of that. And the rest of our Pokemon line is made up of some fossil Pokemon that we're going to be attacking with in certain matchups. Like we mentioned before, we've got 2 copies of Aerodactyl GX. This is the fighting type with Boulder Crush for 120. It's going to knock out a Pikarom nice and cleanly. And Wild Drive GX is one of the best GX attacks going around at the moment. It does 50 times the amount of damage, 50 times the amount of energy, attached to your opponent's active. So even against things like, I don't know, Gardevoir, or maybe some of those other random GX decks like Mew Mew, they're going to have lots of energy on them. You could potentially punish them with a Wild Dive out of nowhere. It's very, very strong and definitely worth considering, even if just for the fact that it's got free retreat.
Yeah, it's always going to be useful unless you need to use non-GX Aerodactyl, which is like our next Pokemon. Aerodactyl GX is not going to be a downside.
Yeah, exactly. We've got 3 copies of the basic Aerodactyl here. We're going to be trying to use Fossil Fangs, which is 90 plus 90 if we don't have any Pokemon GX or EX on the bench. And with triple accelerated energy and welder, we're going to be able to power that up pretty quickly. 180 is a very respectable number of damage to be doing. I guess the downside for this card is that it has 130 HP, so people are going to be able to take knockouts with things like Giratina, but you're going to be able to take knockouts as well, so 180 damage for a 1 prize attacker is pretty strong, and worst comes to worst, you could also use Supersonic to maybe buy yourself a turn if you have to.
Yeah, and like it seems like 130 might be a bad number because of the effort you put into putting it into play, but against pretty much everything but Giratina, you're probably going to live against a non-GX attacker. Zapdos doesn't hit for weakness, so they're going to have to use 2 Electro Powers just to kill it with Zapdos. And Volcanion only hits 110 with High Heat Blast at maximum damage.
Yeah, so it's pretty strong. Our other fossil line is a 3/3 line of Caracosta. And this card is super, super strong. 160 HP. Ancient Custom means Pokemon tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon have no effect. And Aqua Impact is going to do 80 plus 20 for each damage count. 20 more damage for each retreat cost on your opponent's active. And this realistically is going to be your attacker in that Giratina matchup more than anything, because Giratina can't hit 130, can't hit 160. I'm struggling with numbers today. It's not going to be able to use its spell tag, and Caracosta is going to be able to return quite easily. And like we were talking about before, Caracosta are going to be able to take knockouts on all those big fire GXs like Reshiram Charizard as well. Super, super cool card. Obvious downside is that it has a high retreat cost itself, but once it's in the active and attacking, that's fine by me.
Yeah, it's actually like I feel like it's one of the sleeper cards from this set. It's crazy powerful. 160 HP is huge, even on a fossil Pokemon. And its ability is going to be useful in almost every matchup, not just like Malamar, like it's what it's used for. And it's not just the ability that's strong; its attack is just inherently good against like across the board. Like Aqua Impact hits 140 against Giratinas. It hits 140 against Reshizard, which with weakness is perfect numbers to knock it out. Against Heatran, it only has 2 retreat, but that's all you need. That gets it up to 120, which allows you to knock it out. There's just so many nice numbers that this Caracosta hits, and it's always going to help you out in pretty much any matchup.
Yeah, and most of the time it's going to be half hitting whatever it is that you're hitting into. So even if you find yourself in maybe even a Pikarom matchup, maybe you've lost the Aerodactyl GX or one's prized or something like that, Caracosta will be able to come in and do a job for you anyway. Really, really strong card, and I'm looking forward to playing around with it. This deck is less kind of supporter focused and more focused on the stadium cards. So I'm going to start there, because this is the reason that the deck works, is because of Pokemon Research Lab. Essentially what we're going to be trying to do is we're going to be trying to get into Pokemon Research Lab as soon as we possibly can, which is going to be not easy, but doable because of Jurraci and our thick line of Bill's analysis, which I'll talk about in a second. We get that into play turn 1, which means we can get 2 Pokemon that evolve from unidentified fossil into play, and depending on the matchup, we can pick the one that is best for us. If we're playing against Pikarom, we're probably going to grab 2 Aerodactyl GX. If we're playing against Reshizard, we're probably going to grab ourselves a Tortuga, or Turtoga, or however you pronounce it. Tortuga, I was right the first time. And yeah, we're gonna go from there. And we've got the 3 extra unidentified fossils, so we can put ourselves into a position where we can have multiple attackers afterwards. The research lab's just going to get us started, and then we'll move on from there.
Yeah, research lab. As soon as this card, like we saw this card, we inherently thought, all right, let's go and look back at every fossil card that's still legal at the moment, because this card is bonkers. It is like a beach for fossils. It's super strong. It cheats out all your fossils. That's the worst part about playing fossils, is trying to get them out in the first place. They're usually pretty strong, and they just have the back end of being hard to get out. But with this research lab, getting them out is a breeze. You just have to find the stadium. We play 3, and we play a lot of search for them. Luckily, with the new stadium nav, it's as easy as it's going to get to find stadiums with Jurraci and Bill's analysis combined. So be able to get that Pokemon Research Lab on the first turn and grab the 2 most impactful fossils that we in the stage 1s that we need for that matchup.
Exactly. So we've got a couple of supporters to help us do that. We've got, like we mentioned before, 4 copies of Bill's analysis. This is going to let us look at the top 7 cards and pick 2 trainer cards we find there. Could be anything from one of those stadiums like we mentioned to maybe a Pokemon communication, or even another supporter for next turn. That's going to be super strong. We also play a bit of a looker engine where we're drawing cards from the bottom of our deck as well. This is probably the bit of the deck that I'm not 100% sold on myself, but hey, it seemed to work reasonably well day 1 of Worlds, so you know, I can't argue with that.
I did read the tournament report for both of the lists that were pretty similar from the playtesting group that brought this. One of them ran 4 How, and one of them ran the Looker Whistle and 3 Looker. Person who ran How said that shuffle draw is inherently bad in fossils, and it clunks up the deck too much. So between Welder and How or Looker, those are your best supporters other than Bills, because you're really after just more trainers. And the Looker engine is just because it has access to Looker Whistle, which you can also search with Jurraci. It's inherently stronger than the How, because there's more ways to get into
there's more stuff you can find an extra Looker. I haven't personally played with the deck before, so you're about to see my first attempt at it, but just my Pokemon instincts kind of go, oh, maybe Looker's not the best idea. But, you know, Welder draws 3 cards when you attach a couple of energy, so maybe Looker isn't too bad. We've got 3 copies of Welder in this list as well. in order to help us draw some cards. So yeah, we're gonna be doing quite a lot of stuff. I guess the whole idea here is that we're gonna try and put everything in the first turn, get the research lab, and from there we should be able to set up ourselves as best as we can.
Yeah, and I think the fun thing about this deck is if you scroll down a little bit, you see that like we have the most ways I've ever seen in a deck to cheat out attacks for either cheaper or the most efficiently possible. So we have Welder to accelerate energy now that we don't have access to double colorless anymore. We have triple colorless because that's the next best thing, which is going to be used on most of our attacks, namely the Fossil Fangs from the non-GX Aerodactyl. But also works with the other two attackers as well.
100%.
We need fighting energies to attack with all but Fossil Fangs as a prerequisite. But also we can, cheat that fire energy with Karate Belt, which this deck runs as well. So we're behind on prizes, which we're most often going to be because this deck takes a turn to get ready. And the format's real fast at the moment, so there's a good chance you're going to give up a prize card on a Jurrasic or maybe one of the stage ones that your opponent decides to custom catcher into the active and take a knockout and try and get the one up on us. But that just activates our Karate Belt, which means attacking with one of our impactful fossils is going to be that much easier. And between Bills and Jurrasic, we have a lot of ways to draw into this card.
Yeah, so there's heaps and heaps of ways to get there. One of the other things that we can do, we've got one copy of Giant Hearth as well. We're going to be able to search out fire energy if we have to with Welder. And we also
just
play
to make that more consistent.
Yeah, exactly. Just so that it's not as hard to find. We also play one copy of Shrine of Punishment as well to kind of fix some numbers for us. We've kind of jumped all over the place when it comes to our items and stuff here, just because the deck is so unconventional. So I'm just gonna kind of go from the start. We've got one copy of Adventure Bag, which is going to be able to help us search out that Karate Belt when we need it, as well as one of our 2 copies of a skateboard. With Jurrasic in the active, we're going to be able to, or we're going to want to retreat that as easily as possible if our opponent doesn't knock it out, and a skateboard is going to be the way to go. Apart from that, if we get something in the active, we're usually quite happy to just sit there and attack with it, so we're not super stressed about switching, but we are keen to help find that Karate Belt, and Adventure Bag is going to give ourselves another out to that, so probably a pretty good inclusion. We also play 4 copies of Custom Catcher because we want to take knockouts on specific targets if we can, and Custom Catcher is the best way for most decks to do it. And it also means we've got a little bit of inbuilt consistency just in case we end up with a small hand. Custom Catcher could potentially draw us into a supporter that we need, or even that stadium that we are hunting down.
Yeah, I think it's important that whenever your deck doesn't one-shot on base damage alone and you're reliant on weakness to take your knockouts, that you always have a gust effect or multiple gust effects available in your deck, because you're not always going to be able to pick the Pokemon to attack that has the correct weakness for you. So Custom Catcher is absolutely necessary for this deck.
Certainly is. We've got one copy of Energy Spinner on the first turn. This can help us search out one of our 3 fighting energy. Maybe we can attach it to an unidentified fossil or something like that, or even find a couple of fire energy in order to weld them onto a Pokemon on the next turn. Energy Spinner is also a really, really good energy consistency card for the mid to late game as well. If we need to find a fighting energy, we can just spin our deck around and find it. There's going to be absolutely no problems there. Moving on, we've got one copy of Looker Whistle, like we mentioned, 1 Looker Whistle and 3 Looker. Looker Whistle means that we can search for a couple of Looker and put them in our hand. We're thinning cards out of our deck as well as giving ourselves more consistency. We have 3 copies of Pokemon Communication. It's not super strong in this list because most of the cards that we're looking for we're going to try and cheat out with the stadium anyway, but we are going to need to find our Stage 2 Caracostas somehow, and Pokemon Communication is going to be the best card to do that. It also means that we can find other things like Aerodactyls or Tortugas to put on top of our unidentified fossils if we need to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the best application of Pokemon Communication in a deck. We don't play that many Pokemon, but it's just the only option we really have to find non-GXs that we need in this deck.
Yeah, and the only
GX that we would play is cheated out by research.
Exactly, and the best thing about Pokemon communication here is that in most matchups we're actually going to be holding on to Pokemon that we don't need to play anyway. Like, I don't necessarily need to put down an Aerodactyl GX in the Reshizard matchup. I might just hold on to the Aerodactyl for when I get a Pokecom, so I can just bring the Caracosta out. There's no downside to that. And we also play 2 copies of Reset Stamp, so that when our opponent does inevitably get in front, we can stamp them down and then take the initiative. So there you go. It's quite an interesting list. 6 Fire Energy, 3 Fighting, and 4 Triple Acceleration. I didn't mention that. Yeah, it's an interesting one. We'll see how it goes. I am not guaranteeing anything, Blake. I cannot say that I'm gonna be able to figure it out.
How this performs depends entirely on what we pair against. If we play against Pikarom or Reshizard, we'll be able to show off why this deck is so strong. But this deck is a medical, so if you expect to see a lot of Reshizard and Pikarom, which at most tournaments you're going to, but on PTCGO, where you play against random crap, this deck isn't going to perform that
there
well.
There are no guarantees.
Exactly. And basically the only card that really that performs well against decks that aren't targeted for is the Fossil Fangs Aerodactyl.
Yes.
So we're going to rely on that one to carry us through matchups we're not sure about. Otherwise, we're just going to have to wing it. But
we'll see how we go.
Don't have too bad a start.
We've got some stuff going on. We've not got anything amazing, but if we're able to find a Looker or a Stadium off of this Jirachi, we should be fine.
What is that Pokemon?
That is a Alolan Vulpix.
Alolan Vulpix, okay.
So I saw some water energy in there, Mulligan. I didn't look at it too carefully. But this looks like it might be Blastoise. We'll see how we go.
Ooh, Blastoise GX. That is interesting.
Yes.
Interesting, but very difficult.
Yeah, well, we're going to struggle because it's not Reshizard or Pikarom, so what are we going to do?
Yep. We're probably just going to get Fossil Fangs Aerodactyl.
That's probably the way to go.
I love to see that Keldeo, because that is just a big sign that says 2 prizes. Look at that. Beautiful. We're winning.
Yes, look at this. We're fine. Research Lab, we've got it. We can chuck down a Fossil as well, which... Yeah. Fossil.
Touch a Fighting Energy to it.
That is such a weird thing that happens. We'll play down the labs.
So we attach the Fighting Fossil, and then we calm away a Caracosta, and we grab ourselves another Jirachi, because if this one gets knocked out, we're going to need to find consistency next turn.
Good idea. We've got the one left, so we'll grab that out, and we'll pop it down on the bench, and then Research Lab is the way to go. And we are going to go for, what do you reckon, 2 of these? That seems fine to me.
Good to me. If we need anything else, we can use our little baby Fossil here on the bench.
Yes, we should be fine.
Now we'll see what our opponent can do here on their second turn. Obviously, it looks like they're going to use they've got the rare candy straight out of hand. That is not good news for us. It looks like they're going to be using the Alolan Ninetales GX engine to try and search out their item cards to help power up their stage 2s.
Although this could just be a way of powering up Keldeo quickly. Because I'm not seeing the GX here. This is the powerful Squall Blastoise. Maybe they are going for that as the attacker, but that's fine by us because we can just knock that straight out with an Aerodactyl, a non-GX. So seems fine to me.
Aerodactyl, fortunately, does not care whether you're a GX or an EX. It simply cares whether or not we ourselves play them, and we are not currently going to use them in this matchup because we're relying on this Fossil Fangs to carry us through.
We are.
There we go. We see the Alola Ninetales GX go back into the deck. Against non-GXs, Aerodactyl is very strong. And we'll probably get the COI in just a second if he ends up using... there we go, there's the Alola Ninetales GX. I've got to wonder for our opponent why they're not using the ability Vulpix, because right now this Vulpix in the active would have free retreat if they were using that one.
What's the ability Vulpix do again?
Ability Vulpix, if you have a fairy type Pokemon in play, this Pokemon has free retreat. So if you get into the situation like our opponent has now, then you can give your active Vulpix free retreat by evolving a benched one.
Oh, there you go. Hopefully the person that we're playing against watches the channel. Maybe they can get some advice for their deck.
Yeah, which is always why you got to carefully select what basics you use for your important Pokemon, because sometimes it can save you trouble. Because right now they've had to grab a Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
So they would have been able to get themselves a different card, which is more important, maybe even a rare candy. But it looks like they're going to powerful Squall here. Let's see how many targets they hit. I wonder if they're going to go at us with this here Blastoise GX. If they understand properly what Aerodactyl does, then they won't. So, yep, that seems fair. How many energy do they hit?
They've got 2.
Just
One
2.
goes to the Blastoise, so maybe we are going to see an attack here. It'll be quite interesting. I mean, we still have to hit the energy, but it's not impossible.
So this is the troublesome part here, where we need to draw the special energy. We're gonna need to find ourselves a. Oh, they use the roar. Okay, we're just gonna go in the other Jurraci. Cool.
Easy.
That's a very interesting turn from our opponent. And then we're just gonna Stellar-Wish.
Yeah, we can grab ourselves a Looker Whistle. We can look
There's the engine, folks. This is how it works.
Grab ourselves a couple of lookers for later. Boop, boop. And
I was going to say, let's count special energy. But
that's alright. They're gone now. It's over. Okay, so we're not in an amazing spot here, but
we can. I think what I really want to do is use combination of Aerodactyl and Caracosta, so we can evolve the benched fossil into a Tortuga, and then I think what we'll do now is just use Research Lab to cheat out the other Tortuga, because we're going to end our turn anyway without doing anything.
That's fair. I kind of want to put out the Aerodactyl GX just because it has free retreat, but Tortuga sounds fine to me.
The regular Aerodactyl has free retreat, and if we put the GX in play, then the rest of our Aerodactyls are used. Oh, does it?
Yeah.
No, I always thought it was free.
That's one. That's alright. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if we put that Aerodactyl GX in play, then all of our Aerodactyls are crap.
Yes, it doesn't. It means that we're going to struggle to do anything. Did not consider that. Now, I mean, our opponent's sitting there doing nothing anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference.
And there's 6 prizes. The second all the Ninetales.
There is 6 prizes for us. All we need to do is hit those bad boys, and we'll be fine. Although I could see a
200 is a bit harder
up here. And here comes the Blastoise GX. So we are seeing that particular Pokemon come into the forefront now. And maybe a powerful Squall to that Blastoise.
Our opponent still has the switch, of course, which we saw from before.
Yes.
Go in with this Blastoise GX. Doing the Lily first, getting themselves the most outs to hit with powerful Squall. Good ordering.
Oh, no, the Dene GX as well. Choosing to put that away. Don't need it. Put the Squirtle down. Well, our opponent would be loving life. They've almost got the perfect setup here.
Alright. So we're going to get Rocket Splashed. It's going to be a lot of damage.
It's okay. They can choose to just put like 2 in the deck if they want. They don't have to use all of them.
I think that's what they're going to go for here, and they're probably just going to keep the ones on the active and put away their benched ones.
Fair and reasonable. Now the question is, do we want to commit to an Aerodactyl or a Tortuga here, or do we want to stick the Jurraci up and just try and be consistent?
I think we commit to an Aerodactyl here because we've got the draw support we need, and finding the switch is just an extra piece this turn. Oh, okay, a welder. That's interesting.
That's not ideal.
No, it's not, and it doesn't really give us more outs either. I think we just evolve into
Caracosta down here.
Yeah, the Caracosta, and then we'll just go for a looker.
Let's have a looker. Okay, so we've got.
That's not great.
That's okay. That's okay. We've got a couple of Caracosta in play now. So we're doing a real good job of setting ourselves up. We can sacrifice this Aerodactyl if we want to, or we can.
I think we just attach to it and retreat into Jurraci.
I was about to say, probably not the worst idea ever. It means we can potentially set ourselves up.
And I think the shrine will be real powerful here, because we need to fix our math on these other Pokemon. If this sticks for just 2 turns, then suddenly all 6 prizes are accessible on those Alola Ninetales.
Yes, so we will leave it at that. Worst case scenario, we can start attacking with Caracosta next turn. We can welder once and hope that we draw another energy and start aqua impacting, and that will do 140 to this Blastoise. Obviously minus 30 with the solid shell, so 110. But that's okay. With the Shrine in play, we could potentially be half hitting anyway. So we'll see. We'll see.
Energy.
Yeah, there is. That's an interesting choice.
I might elect to go for the snipe damage this time.
Yeah, Snowy Wind obviously does 70 and 30. Probably a decent choice, but it's not amazing.
I'm still drawing lots of cards here. I'm not sure why they're still playing so many cards. I feel like they're only getting themselves close to the deck out while they're applying plenty enough pressure as it is. They might be digging for custom catches if they play them. And we will see the switch into all the Ninetales, try and make more effective use of their attacks. Maybe chip down a Caracosta, make it easier to hit. More likely going to hit an Aerodactyl really... because, weaken the Aerodactyl, that way they only need 2 energy for Rocket Splash.
Yeah, that's alright. We're going to commit to this Caracosta here. I'm going to try and hit into this Ninetales for 120. And we'll see how we go.
How many prizes are they on?
How many prizes?
Doesn't matter. We'll choose
they're
that
on
one.
4. I mean, we can Karate Belt and then Welder and attack, so we'll be fine.
Yep.
So we'll chuck that fire energy onto the Caracosta and draw a couple of cards. Oh, look at this! Look at all these!
Finally,
look at all these
here
cards.
we go. So we'll commit the Karate Belt because
we can now, and then we can chuck the fighting on the second Caracosta.
Exactly.
And we could even reset stamp here if we want. Although I think I'm just going to hold on to it. We'll stamp him next turn.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Aqua Impact, it's a good half hit here. Solid damage here. Shrine's still sticking, which is great news for us.
That's real positive.
Hopefully they don't play too many stadiums, because if this is able to stick for a long period of time, then we're having a good time.
We certainly are. Best case scenario, the Shrine sticks this turn. We top deck Custom Catcher and are able to... Oh, well, no, we don't even need to top deck it now. They've just chosen to retreat it onto the bench. And now if the Shrine stays in play for another 2.5 turns, we get 2 prizes for free. So I'm happy about that. That seems fine to me.
Seems good to me.
And they're going to Cynthia away their
Still
big hand.
digging. They're going to be trying to find their counter stadium, I would have to think here.
Reset stamp. They choose to get rid of our 2 triple accelerated energy, which is annoying. But that's okay.
It's an odd choice to randomly hit your opponent for a 6-card reset stamp when they've got like 6 cards in hand.
That's okay. We've got the energy. We've got energy spinner here, so we can welder onto a Caracosta if we'd like to. And Blastoise is powering some stuff up here. What is going on? What are they doing?
Yeah, some very weird attachments and actions here from our opponent. Oh yes, the Shrine stays again.
Beautiful.
So I feel like we should almost commit to this Aerodactyl here because oh no, we don't have the.
We can't guarantee that we've got the attachment. We have to go for Caracosta.
We'll go on with a Caracosta.
Because we can guarantee that we've got that attack. I mean, it sucks that we're going to lose 30 of the damage, but that's okay. We're going to be able to
sticking, so
stamp him here as well.
We're going to take prizes off this Ninetales soon. Ooh, custom catches.
Can we take 4 prizes this turn? That's a question. Is it worth doing?
What I'm interested about, Blastoise. How much retreat has Blastoise got?
Blastoise has...
It's got enough.
Oh, Blastoise has 3.
Is that enough for a knockout, or not quite?
No, I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Because
is it 150 or 140 HP?
It's got 160. We can kill it.
Ah, dang, we needed one more retreat.
We needed one more. That's okay. It's okay.
That's right.
That probably would have been the best choice, but we're going to welder onto the active.
If we hit triple colourless, it could debatably be worth it, but no. Okay, so we should probably attach to the fresh Aerodactyl.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to reset stamp here just to frustrate them.
I think what might be the play here, because we can't kill this, is to double custom up the other Alola Ninetales that's not been hit yet.
This one here?
Yeah, and half hit that one as well, and hopefully get the Shrine Tick to kill both of them.
Well, how much are we doing? We're doing 80 plus 20 plus 20, so it's going to be on 170. So we could...
we could even go...
We could gamble it, or we could just kill the Keldeo if we want to.
We could kill... I think the Keldeo, yeah, let's go for the Keldeo then. we might be able to unprize. I haven't checked. We haven't checked if we've got the all the other customs yet, but also should be fine.
We should be okay.
So we're ticking along here. As long as the shrine stays in play, we're in a really strong spot.
We
It's going to
certainly
take
are.
a lot of time before our opponent can win the game, because we're only giving out one prize at a time. We find another Jurrasic, which is nice. We can stick it in a skateboard on that and get back into our consistency.
And the best thing here for us is that they need to commit pretty much all of their energy in order to knock out this Caracosta, which I like. And then we've got plenty of opportunities to try and find a couple of energy onto our Aerodactyl. So we've got a chance. Yeah. We've got a chance.
I think so. And this is performing pretty well considering we're not teched for this matchup.
This is not a matchup that we're going for.
I think we promote the one with no energy on it, so we can skateboard that one.
Fair enough.
Give ourselves a free retreat pivot. It doesn't have to be the Jurrasic. Now, does this...
We're a turn away.
These Ninetales die. Yeah, they die going back into our turn. So, I think...
See, this is frustrating because I think the Bills means that we don't actually have access to the game. We're possibly going to struggle, but that's okay. Let's see what we can get. I think that seems pretty good, and that seems pretty good. We can stamp our opponent to 2 if we choose to.
Yeah, I think we just want to reduce their hand size so they can't punish us for not attacking this turn and killing one of our attackers. And then we can retreat into Jurrasic and find ourselves a different supporter for next turn.
That seems fair. I'll chuck the skateboard on now.
It also reduces the odds of our opponent being able to find a counter stadium as well.
Alright, I'm going to grab the custom catcher just because it means that we can potentially thin our hand out next turn if we need to.
Exactly.
We could find what we need and then we'll stamp them.
We can communications in the Aerodactyl and fail and then draw 2 cards if possible if we find another playable card. So we've got plenty of stuff we can do next turn. Hopefully after stamp to 2, our opponent doesn't randomly find their counter stadium here. I've obviously jinxed it now that I've sent it.
Oh yeah, obviously.
But you know what? I've said it.
You've said it now. It's happened.
It's gonna happen.
It's happened. Now we're gonna lose this Jurrasic, but if everything goes our way, we could potentially find like energy off of the prizes that we take for this Alola Ninetales, and then another custom catcher off of the Bills to knock out the Alola Ninetales on the bench and steal a victory here. It's relying on a lot of luck, but you know we might be able to get there.
What games of Pokemon don't, Mitch?
Yeah, exactly.
And at this point, I've got to think that most of what our opponent draws is going to be water energy, so I'm really hoping they've just drawn into multiple water attachments for turn.
Yeah, man. I guess it means that their powerful skull is going to pretty much always hit water energy, but at this stage it doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is that they don't replace that Shrine of Punishment. That's the key.
Yep, that is the most important thing.
Alright, so
that is our win condition at this point. There's lone Shrine of Punishment putting in the long yards. Our opponent either reading or confused about how this card works.
Trying to figure out what's going on. They've chosen to take a energy. I don't know why they were so confused.
They've attached it. Can they clear the attack? Oh, a Lily, that's no good.
I hope they don't replace this stadium here. I'm going to be...
No!
No!
Oh, it's a Lysander Labs too.
Oh, no.
That is a crushing blow. I don't think our opponent realizes that we're only going to be playing 1, so they probably don't realize just how important it was they replaced it.
Oh, that probably means that we end up losing this game.
So... Yeah, I don't think at this point we have enough time to win. I think our only win condition now would be to find a way to draw into another custom catcher and an attachment and kill their benched Blastoise that accelerates. Hopefully between that they won't have enough water energy to close out the game.
Yeah,
they have to shuffle in 2 here.
Unfortunately, they need to.
And also, they need 3 to take out an Aerodactyl. So
they do. It's not looking good.
They do have to...
We've got the custom catcher, but we don't have the energy. Oh no. Oh, we have 1, but we didn't get enough. It's not enough. enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough. We're gonna go down here.
That's okay.
Real
We're not gonna go down just yet because we are going to give ourselves a chance. There are no fire energy left. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we are not gonna give ourselves a chance.
You know there are
Still
4 in there. We're gonna supersonic this thing and we're gonna hope that it gets confused and hits itself. I can't believe that there's 4 triple colorless in the deck that we just haven't seen for the entire game.
In 14 cards.
Oh, I know. But that's okay. We could potentially find a way out here, but we would have to be particularly lucky. Our opponent having access to 2 powerful squalls means that all they need is an attachment from hand, realistically. And they can knock us out.
Yep, and we're just gonna have to
There
see
it
what
is,
they
yeah.
can do.
It looks like they're going to get there. That's a shame. That's a shame.
Yeah,
But
they're just gonna retreat and kill us with the baby Blastoise here.
But in reality, I think the testament to the deck there is that we got really, really close in a matchup that we
That was
weren't
well
prepared
within
for.
our grasp.
We very easily could have won if that Shrine had stayed in for one
And
more
we
turn.
drew poorly. We had a terrible start. We got the bare necessity to get the deck going. And we nearly pulled through. And keep in mind that if this had happened against any other matchup, we still would have pulled through with the win on that one because we were able to clear several attacks on the Pokemon we wanted to. That Caracosta really good against the matchups we've designed it to beat. So, or rather, the people who built this deck designed it to beat.
Yeah, exactly.
And if this was against like Malamar or Reshizard, those would have just taken like 3 to 5 prizes. So,
yeah, exactly. It would have been super, super strong.
Awesome.
So anyway, if you're playing at
expect
a
to see those decks.
yeah, exactly. If you're playing at a local league or a challenger, a couple, whatever it is, and you're expecting to see Pikarom, Reshizard, and Malamar, and those are the decks that you're expecting to see, I'll throw it out there. If you're expecting to see those
Even
decks, then
Blounds. Works on Blounds too.
this could be the deck for you. There's obviously lots of directions that you can take it, but it's pretty cool, pretty fun, and definitely worth testing. Thanks very much, Blake, for coming along.
No worries.
And thanks everyone for watching. If you like the content, then click the little SAbleye in the middle of the screen to subscribe to see more. On the left-hand side, we have some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like, and on the right, we have our Unified Minds deck profile and matchup playlist. Thanks everyone for coming along, and we'll see you all next time for more from the SAbleyes. Bye.
Bye.